He was born Donald Brown in Martinsburg, West Virginia on July 2, 1947. A lifelong resident of Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, he served not one, not two, but 3 tours of duty in Vietnam with the U.S. Army, where he was awarded a Purple Heart. Upon returning home from the war, he began performing as an Elvis impersonator, a gig that he performed very well at for over a decade. But it wasn't until September of 2007 until he found his true passion and calling in life, Covey Pro Wrestling.
Charlie Brown is the super fan. Like, it doesn't matter if the audience knows who's wrestling or has never heard of him before. Charlie Brown is that nugget of excitement. Like, you have him right there when they walk out. Charlie Brown is the loudest cheer or the loudest boo. The whole audience identifies right away. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what's worth cheering for. He knows what's worth booing.
Charlie Brown was the nicest guy. He'd always be like running around backstage, first guy to greet you at the door. He'd always like help me with my bag, you know, just super friendly, super sweet. Hey, how are you doing? Just a really all-around great person who did anything and everything that could be asked of him for the show and for anybody that was on it.
I was going through some stuff in my life. I was living up in Berkeley Springs. Charlie Brown and his family, they helped me out so much, giving me a place to stay. I remember coming in one night at all hours of the night. I was stuck, didn't have anywhere to go. I ended up sleeping in my car, and he just raised hell on me. He said, "The door was open, why don't you just come in?" That's just Charlie Brown. He's just one of the greatest fans I've ever seen.
After attending a show in Paw Paw, West Virginia featuring Jake the Snake Roberts, Brown was hooked and so began faithfully attending every Covey Pro event held in Morgan County.
The thing that sticks most in my mind is when I was the champion of Covey Pro, and even when I lost the championship, to this day I'm still the champ in Charlie Brown's mind. And I will always remember that. And every time he sees me, the first thing I can always guarantee is he'll say, "What's going on, champ?" And that's something I really appreciate as soon as I walk through the door. It makes me feel respected. It makes it a pleasure to come to Covey Pro.
This is the first day I came into Covey Pro. Charlie Brown's been that constant staple in the locker room, out there with the fans.
Charlie Brown's the heart and soul of Covey Pro. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything that brings the action to your house each and every week, Charlie Brown is a part of that process.
It was at one of these events he met the owner of Covey Pro, Cody Covey, for the first time, and what came from a simple miscommunication would become his work name that everybody knows him by today, Charlie Brown. The name Charlie Brown would become synonymous with Covey Pro as being the Covey Pro superfan.
"You're looking good, Charlie Brown." He's been here forever. Charlie Brown he's the consummate fan. He makes you want to do better.
There's not very many people that I get to work with who would actually legitimately care about my life and all that. But every time I come in, Charlie Brown will always say, "What up, Count? How's your life going?" And he just legitimately cared.
In pro wrestling, you encounter a lot of big egos. Charlie Brown has the biggest heart I can honestly say I've ever encountered, not just in pro wrestling, but in life. He has done so much. Even in my short time here, I can see he has done so much for Covey Promotions, and I don't think this place would be the same without him.
Get up, go! Get up! Get up, go!
Known for getting both fans and wrestlers alike fired up and into a frenzy, and his overwhelming love and support for Big Ace Montana no matter what, not only is he the Covey Pro superfan, but he is also the caretaker of his mighty and beloved sportatorium, a position he proudly accepted after the untimely passing of beloved friend and fellow Covey Pro Hall of Famer Dave Duncan.
When Dave passed away, Charlie Brown and his wife, you know, they picked up the slack for what was lost by Dave Duncan. And Charlie Brown, I'm proud to, I got to do his renewal of vows wedding, and I'm very proud to call Charlie Brown my friend, my brother, and great person to be around.
Definitely deserve the recognition. You work your tail off down here at the gym, keeping the building straight. You go to every away match. You're always there with the smile on your face and working your can off, man. I truly do appreciate it, and I know Covey Pro does. Charlie Brown, congratulations. This couldn't have happened to a more deserving guy.
Probably one of the best. No, let me start. He is the #1 Covey Pro fan. I mean, he's been here for every major moment in the company history. When Joe won the belt, when I won my first tag team title, when I won my first television title. Charlie Brown has been here for all of that. I mean, just an amazing fan, a guy who puts his heart into the company almost as much as a guy who works for the company. I mean, Charlie Brown, a guy who, well, has spent most of my career booing me, still an amazing guy.
When I think of Covey Pro, one of the first people that come into my head is Charlie Brown, because he is the heart and soul of this company. He's always here, he's always inspiring, and he's always pushing each of us. He's pushing all of us to be better than we are.
He brings a crowd to life. And all of my times that I've gotten to sit next to him, like, it really makes the thing electric when you're near Charlie Brown. That man brings wrestling, absolutely makes Covey Pro come to life.
It is with great pride and honor that Covey Promotions officially welcomes Mr. Charlie Brown into the Covey Pro Hall of Fame, class of 2014.